What is Munchausen syndrome by proxy? And why do we need to know about the disease when talking about if it's okay for children to transition?
Munchausen by proxy is an illness where the perpetrator will try to impose an illness on another person, usually somebody that's in their care.
The Gypsy Rose case is obviously quite rare, but the mom's illness, Munchausen syndrome by proxy, is not as rare as you think. This disorder mainly affects moms, and hearing about Gypsy Rose's case made me think of other cases where I personally believe we're talking about Munchausen syndrome by proxy, but nobody's talking about it. The media is not talking about it. And yes, I'm of course talking about trans children. It's impossible for a kid to be trans, and in most cases, the children/teenagers get the idea from TikTok. But unfortunately, in some situations, the children did not get the idea from TikTok, from the trans community. They got the idea that they're trans from their parents, especially their mothers. These moms will see their boys, let's say, wear a dress, maybe once or maybe twice, and then they think, oh, that means he's a girl. So that's my mission, to make him into a girl. Make him believe that he's a girl.
I'm a girl.
Who told you you were a girl?
Mommy.
When did she tell you you were a girl?
Because I love girls. She buys my headbands.
Uh-huh.
She paints my nails.
So mommy puts you in a dress and puts nail polish on you? Mm-hmm. And what does mommy tell you?
She tells me I'm a girl.
These moms love to be on TV, put their children on display in order to get attention, sympathy/empathy. What are the similarities between cases of Munchausen syndrome by proxy and cases of parents convincing their children that they're trans? A mother with Munchausen syndrome by proxy will convince their child that they're sick. They're brainwashing the child because it's essential that the child also believes in it. The mom would test the child in order to make sure that the child is convinced, is brainwashed into believing that they're sick. I've seen that strategy way too many times when watching documentaries or YouTube clips of trans kids and their parents.
If you use a blocker and go on to testosterone, your eggs would never mature. You would have to go through female puberty, which is something you could do.
I could, but I don't want to.
Why?
Because it's uncomfortable.
What's
to think of that. I'm a guy.
What are you going to do about that if you can't have your own child?
Adopting, is a great idea to me.
Do people ever wonder if you're too young to know if you're trans?
Yeah, and, are they too young to know that they're cis?
This dialogue right here is about the mom trying to prove that she didn't convince her child that they're trans. She's under the impression that what we just saw proves the girl actually knows that she's trans and wants to transition. She knows what the consequences are and she's fine with it. My opinion is she was testing her child. If the cameras were turned off, she would say, do you remember what we talked about when people ask you, aren't you too young to know? You remember the answer? But of course, I don't know if that's what's going on. What the two different types of moms also have in common is how they're always overly prepared when going to the doctor's office. They always make sure to know everything about the illness, and some are even obsessed with the illness. How obsessed these moms are with the trans identity.
He, a month ago, started hormone blockers. It's an implant. It is to prevent his puberty, which would cause a lot of havoc.
Both types of moms make the illness their children's entire identity. The unfulfilling needs of getting validation.
Stopping it there, guys, and welcome to Mika Reaction Reviews, where we react to things on the internet. Same day, same shirt, different video. And today we're reacting to another YouTuber. I believe this person is also trans themselves, and they kind of niche their channel around trans or LGBTQ plus issues, wokeness, and all that stuff. I'll put the name here. It'll be in the description. It'll be in the title. Go check them out. Anywho, no one's talking about this because I don't think anybody's even thinking about it this way. I came across this video and I was like, I never thought about it that way. That these moms, usually it's moms and spineless fathers, who seemingly are pushing their kids into this idea that they might be born in the wrong body, might be a form of Munchausen. I never thought about it that way, but I think this person is very much onto something here. The similarities match, and they will go more into it as the video goes along. The couple of examples that he already showed, the mother is talking to their supposedly trans child. You can tell that the person is being coached, and of course this is all allegedly, but a child that young using the word cis, I know it's Gen Z, or maybe they're Gen Alpha, I'm not sure, but I know that's more commonly used with the younger generation, but at that age you're using the word cis. Aren't you too young to know that you're cis? I mean, if a 30-something-year-old is telling you that they're cis, I'm pretty sure they know that they're cis, which is biological female. I don't claim that word. It sounds like a zit. I'm not consenting to it, so don't ever call me that. But we're using that phrase because that's the phrase that they used. So it feels like a very coach thing, because it's not a word I feel like someone their age would use. I could be wrong. The other thing they said is well, what if you can't have kids? And the person was like, well, I can adopt. When you're that age, you don't know what the fuck you want. You're not thinking about children or parenthood. Not not as an adult would, not in the details of it. You might think, oh yeah, when I get bigger, I'll be a mommy or a daddy, but you don't grasp the understanding of what it is to want kids, to desire kids, to raise kids, to want your own kids. So that person saying, even if they believed it in their heart that, oh, I can just adopt kids, doesn't mean that that's how they're going to feel in the next 10, 20, 15, 10 years. He's right. A lot of these visible trans moms seem really, really interested in garnering the attention of being a trans mom. I've accepted my trans child. I'm now a trans activist. I'm such a good person because I just love my trans child. They seem so more into the fame and the attention and the media blitz around it all than their actual kids. Anywho, let's continue with the video because this person has a lot of good things to say.
Affirmation, attention, sympathy, and empathy are things that both moms can relate to. Munchausen syndrome by proxy is about lying, fabricating what the child is going through. The illnesses the child is supposed to go through are often visible, very visible. So Gypsy Rose was in a wheelchair. She was bald. Trans children are also very visible. No, they don't look sick at all, but the little boy always has to wear this very bright pink dress. A lot of girls don't even look like this on a daily basis, so what's the point? The point is, they have to be so visible. The parents want their child to look as different as possible. As I said, Gypsy Rose actually got her salivary glands removed when she didn't need to. She got something removed from her body that she didn't need to get removed. Gypsy had to take a lot of medication that she did not need. No physically healthy child needs puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones. Not only do they not need the medication, it will destroy their bodies and their mental health. When hearing stories of victims of Munchausen syndrome by proxy, what we all think is, what were the doctors thinking? Where were the adults who were supposed to protect the children? Where were they? I found this person who was the doctor of a victim of Munchausen syndrome by proxy. Let's listen to what she has to say.
We sometimes come up against barriers in the legal system, and the same things always come up. It's like, what was the parent's intent? Could this just be an anxious mother? And I can say no. And then we might go to, well, this caused harm to the child. It says, do you want to try to defend this in front of a judge or a jury when you have a wonderful, loving mother who has a sick child? Are you going to be able to convince them medical care is child abuse?
Okay, so doctors are too scared to speak their minds because they're afraid to look like the villains if they deny these children life-saving care. Life-saving care. Have you heard about this before in another context? That's what trans activists say all the time. If children don't transition, they would not be alive anymore. Apparently, it's not that uncommon for moms with Munchausen to threaten doctors with malpractice if they don't treat their children, if they don't diagnose the children, and so on. That right here sounds a lot like trans doctors who are too scared to speak their minds because they're afraid of getting fired. If they tell someone, no, you're not trans, I think you should wait a couple of years and come back maybe. I think you maybe deal with borderline disorder, autism, whatever. Trans doctors also have patients who blackmail them, literally.
The other day, while dressed up, he looked in the mirror and said, "Mommy, what am I?" So I asked him, "What do you feel like?" His response was that he felt like a girl and wanted to know if it was okay to be a girl even though he had a penis. My sweet son just came to me with 2 ponytail holders. He asked me to put his hair up like his sister's. I patiently managed to divide and put his little bowl cut into 2 Pippi Longstocking ponies. He looks so precious and very much like a girl.
Jazz Jennings, a biological male, has been affirmed as a girl since the age of 2. Just because Jazz wore a dress once or twice, played with his sister, Jazz's mom cried when Jazz asked her, "Mommy, what am I?" And also, "I want to be a girl." Well, no shit. The mom was confusing Jazz so much. But Jazz never expressed any gender discomfort. It was only, "Mommy, am I a girl? Mommy, am I a boy? I want to be a girl." That has nothing to do with gender dysphoria. A 2-year-old boy wearing a dress is not gender dysphoria. That's like, what, 60-70% of all men who did that as children? Or am I wrong? Jazz got diagnosed with gender dysphoria at the age of 3. Doctors gave Jazz puberty blockers when Jazz was 11, estrogen when Jazz was 14, and Jazz got the first out of 4 bottom surgeries at the age of 17. Jazz, a biological male, never got the opportunity to be a boy. Jazz cannot have orgasms, cannot have children, deals with severe anxiety, depression, eating disorders, all because of Jazz's mom not accepting that her son wanted to wear a dress maybe a couple of times and played with his sister. That is sick. That is truly sick that a mom would be upset to see her son wear a dress. That sounds like extreme homophobia to me. But I don't know. I know I don't know any of this for sure. I'm just reacting to what I've seen online, what I've heard from these people themselves.
I totally agree with him. I made a video about Jennings, and it was right around the time my channel got completely demonetized, so I deleted that video because I was like, okay, that's not a coincidence. But it's not gonna scare me away from talking about this issue because I don't play when it comes to the harming of children. I will drag anyone who does it or anyone that even hints at protecting those who harm children. But the story of Jennings is a really, really sad one. The child had never had a chance. They never had a chance. To diagnose a child at 3 years old with gender dysphoria is crazy to me, and I don't understand how that person has never got their license taken away from them. When you're 3, you don't even see gender or sex in that manner. Putting on a dress because your sisters are putting on a dress is what every sibling does, especially when you are a younger sibling. You emulate your older siblings, or you emulate your parents. Little boys who put on their mother's high heels because they're emulating their parents. That is what children do. That's what children fucking do. It does not mean that that child is born in the wrong body, and I feel like anybody with a speck of common sense understands this, and especially if you've been around children, if you've babysat children, if you have siblings, nieces, nephews, cousins who are younger than you, if you're a parent, you know that this is just what kids do. It does not mean they're in the wrong sex or they're in the wrong body. To cry because your child asks you, what am I, which I don't think. It had to be 2 when he said this, because if he got diagnosed at 3, he was either barely 3 or 2. I don't think Jazz said that, but if he did say that, and to cry about that, it was more about you than the child. Because why are you getting emotional about that? You should love your kid no matter what gender or sex they are. It seems like she wanted her child to be a girl, and she was happy that she now had a door opened where she can make that happen. I also don't believe Jazz said, can I be a girl even though I have a penis? What 2-year-old is saying that? What 3-year-old is saying that? What fucking toddler is saying that? I can't believe the people who listen to her and let her use that as a way to get a diagnosis still is practicing. It is maddening to me. Today, he's right. Today, doctors are terrified because they're terrified of being called transphobic and getting their license or getting their jobs taken away from them. I still think your job is to protect and your job is to heal and not harm. So you shouldn't allow the fear of losing your job to do harm to children. But I kind of understand. Jennings had four bottom surgeries because they kept botching them. So yeah, he's right. Jennings will never be able to reach the height of sexual pleasure, which is weird to say when you talk about a kid. I mean, they're not a kid anymore, but still to me, they're a kid. I think they're legal age now. So basically, you've created a child that is now a human blow-up doll, because the only person that's going to receive sexual pleasure if they sleep with Jennings is the person who's sleeping with her, the man who will sleep with her. That is the only person that's going to receive sexual pleasure, not Jennings. So Jennings is now just a human blow-up doll. That is what you created your child out to be. I hope you're happy, Mom. Jennings is fighting a lot of mental health right now because I think Jennings' body is fighting back. That's what I think is happening. And I also think Jennings' subconscious is fighting back, because I think the older Jazz gets, she's gonna realize, or they're gonna realize, that they were abused. He mentioned something earlier that Jennings' mom was terrified to have a boy in a dress. And this has been brought up before, that this new trans trend of trying to trans your kids is a new form of homophobia. Like, I would rather have a trans kid because then you pass as a woman and then that's fine, than a boy who wants to wear a dress and makeup and is gonna get stared at and mocked up and teased. And what does that look like for me as a parent? What does this stop trying to trans the gay away? Yeah, I don't think that's everybody, but I think there is a hint of that, of like a bit of homophobia, of people wanting to have a child that looks like a girl, passes as a girl, dressed like a girl, rather than a boy who dresses like a girl and acts like a girl, you know, stereotypically. Anywho, let's continue with the video. It's almost over.
I'm trying to diagnose anyone with any disorder because I'm not a psychiatrist. The reason why I'm making this video is because I'm way too concerned about the similarities between moms who deal with Munchausen syndrome by proxy, who intentionally make their children sick in order to get attention, and then these trans families, trans children, who are all over TV, all over TikTok and YouTube, and it looks like the children don't suffer from gender dysphoria in any way. How disgusting is it that it's socially acceptable to transition your kids, even though you have no proof of them being trans, because children cannot be trans. We're talking about children, a group of people who are still developing. What can we all learn from Gypsy Rose's case? Don't believe everything that you see. Don't blindly believe that the children got the idea that they're trans. We all have to understand that abusive parents exist, which is depressing, but it's reality. It doesn't matter if these parents claim to have great intentions when lying about their children being sick or being trans, because in the end, the children are being harmed. Yes, you're harming a child if you give them puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgeries, of course. It is harmful, not okay, and not necessary.
Yep, I totally agree with him. I think he ended that very eloquently. Yeah, I don't believe kids can be trans either, because I don't think kids even see gender and sex in that way. I think those are things that are put onto them upon of the adults around them, or social media, indoctrination, stuff like that. Sexual fluidity and gender fluidity is a thing. Many women can be girly or boyish or androgynous, stuff like that, but doesn't mean you're born in the wrong body. Anyway, guys, that's it. Let me know what you guys think of this video. I just thought it was interesting because I had never thought about it that way. The whole Munchausen disorder being like that, being a factor when it comes to these parents like saying that their kids are trans. But you guys let me know what you guys think about it. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell to get the notifications when I do upload. All that really does help with the algorithm, guys. And you can donate. The links are down below. Helps me on this channel. And you guys have an amazing, beautiful day.